And people who know me personally know that I am not a fool.
Hey there, it's Tony here, and welcome to episode 46 of the Dumb Leaders podcast. Now, after 3 weeks of discussing the Australian political election, the federal election, let's get back into some biases and some psychology stuff. And today, one of the ones that's really dear to my heart at the moment is the concept of conspiracy theories. So, they're front and they're centre. And if ever you wanted to understand the concept in a deeper way, just head into the minefield of what is now YouTube. You know, we have flat Earth, we've got moon landings. I think there's a conspiracy theory around a mud flood. There's 9/11, there's MH70. The list seems to be endless. And for a leader, conspiracy theories lie in a couple of areas. Organisational conspiracy and leadership paranoia is the two key areas. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of research done in these areas. However, it is clear that the research that's been done indicates that even well-rounded leaders sometimes have severe beliefs and unfounded beliefs in some cases, and limits. And because of that, they have some subsequent fears. So leadership paranoia is real. It's real. You know, one thing is certain, studies of conspiracy theories are increasing. And I suppose that's also in line with the actual increased exposure around conspiracy theories. If ever you wanted to study leadership or conspiracy theories, just head over to YouTube. And there will be a conspiracy theory just for you. I can almost guarantee it. So in business, these theories fundamentally may start life as a bit of a rumour based on fears. And if left to go unchecked, they can create a life of their own. So in one respect, it really does, well, in a lot of respects, it pays for leaders and business leaders to be active in dealing with rumours, because that can save themselves from the concept of organisational conspiracy. How we do that, we'll talk about that in just a second. Leadership paranoia is another area where conspiracy theories can impact an organisation. And what we can often see is that we'll see things like shifts in team and political dynamics within organisations. And with that will bring some fear into some leaders, and these fears bring conspiracy and paranoia to those particular leaders. Maybe they believe that their days are numbered, people are out to get them, someone's undermining them, the team are uprising, or something dodgy is going to go down. And that's just an example, I guess, of how those fears can manifest into some real life paranoia. Sometimes it's real, others times maybe not so real. But in general, and it's funny for me to say this, in general there is some logic around some paranoia, and I'll share a little bit about that in just a sec as well. So where do conspiracy theories come from? Now, conspiracy theories are in some ways, it's a logical step in our wiring. And conspiracy theories tend to eventuate because of three things for us: a desire for understanding and certainty, a desire for control and security, the desire to maintain a positive self-image. What we see and what's been founded in research around the concepts of why conspiracy theories take hold. So instead of thinking of the conspiracy theorist as a crackpot, or an idiot, or delusional of reality, the reality is that they've got a logical place. They've got a logical place from where they came, and that's important to understand, because those traits and those desires for things like certainty and understanding, control, are within each and every one of us. So the potential for us to align to a conspiracy theory, the potential for us to align to like a cult type scenario is because of some of those things. The need to have understanding, certainty, control, security, and for us to align to something so that we've got a positive self-image. So conspiracies are often just a false belief where we attribute intention and our perspective onto randomized events. So where we look for validations of our beliefs on an event. And where we've got that bias, we'll tend to see it in that certain perspective of what we have. But it's also important to note, and I mentioned this just before, that conspiracies founded around paranoia. There are going to be times where paranoia is needed, okay? And it's once again, it's a very interesting comment. If a leader does detect that there's some change dynamics, that they've been frozen out, there's silence within the group where previously there wasn't, they're indicators that something's wrong. And in some cases, to get a little bit paranoid about that and to try and actively work through that is probably a good thing. So where we're sensing something is amiss, and that may be creating a mild dose of paranoia, that's probably a good thing, because then we have the ability to be able to actually dive in and have a look at it. Where it's not a good thing is if we allow that paranoia to build, and all of a sudden we've got this everyone's against me scenario. So another interesting thing that we know about conspiracy is that they had a study after the Brexit vote, right? And in the UK. And in that vote, it indicated that 60% of Brits, now 60% of Brits, believed in at least one conspiracy theory. Wow, 60%. So this is not just the domain of the crackpot, right? So take this on board. 60% have some concept of belief around a conspiracy theory. So if the human condition behind conspiracy is certainty, control, and image, we're looking for patterns that support that false belief. There are some key things that we can be doing that help us individually keep our own little bit of conspiracy that we may have within us at bay, right? So if the human condition is certainty, control, and image, there are certainly some things that we can be doing that can limit that. So, and yes, you heard me right, we all have that little bit of conspiracy theory or the potential for conspiracy theory within us. Okay, but we just need to find ways to keep it at bay. And one of the big ways is that we make sure that we're partaking in analytical and critical thinking. And this helps us obtain and be objective about the facts and figures that we're looking at and that we're researching and that we're bringing into existence. Removing the potential biases that we may feel, we're looking at it from all angles and we're looking at it from all sides and parties. And we're looking at it objectively. And that allows us to see the whole story and not just the narrative that we're telling ourselves. In regards to control and esteem, we need to prime ourselves around what we can do, what we do have control over. So we're bringing that priming of control around the stuff that we feel that we know that we can do. So, for example, if you're feeling that you're under pressure or having the pressure put on you at work, you know, the sense of control exists, and in our belief that everyone is against us. So our sense of control can exist in our belief that everyone is against us, or we can use that energy and use it better to be better in what it is that we do. So work better, perform better, achieve better. And funnily enough, that's a better place to be. So instead of wasting and throwing your energy into that conspiracy thought process that everyone is against us, it's far better to be looking at the actual things that you have control over, which will enable you then to be better at what it is that you do. So in regards to some of the conspiracy stuff that we see on YouTube and around the net, now, those key attributes still fly, you know. And I'm sure that if a flat earther looked at all of the facts in a story, to try and understand all sides, they would have a different approach. While their current scenario is that they're looking at the facts around, say, the globe Earth, with a bias to prove it wrong, with a bias to debunk, with a bias that says it's fake, it's CGI, it's, they've got all this stuff because they're looking at that side with an understanding or a belief that it's wrong, and that is affecting what it is when they look at it. And I might just say the Globe Earth debunkers on YouTube are actually looking at things in a similar light. They look at flat Earth as some sort of idiotic thing, and they don't necessarily look at some of the things as objectively as what they can be doing. So, but ultimately we need to be able to understand all sides to an argument, understand all sides to the discussion, to really help us look at things objectively and remove some of that conspiracy stuff. And maybe if say the flat earthers started doing that, maybe they can make a bit more valid judgment. I don't know. Who knows? So conspiracy theories, generally, a little paranoia is good, a lot is bad. Okay? A little paranoia is good, but a lot is bad. And the ability for you as a leader to know the difference is critical. So thanks for listening to episode 46 of the Dumb Leaders podcast. We will be back next week. We will be back next week.
I just think that would be fun. I just think that would be fun.
Yes, and so do I. So we will be back next week. So in the meantime, please check out the Dumb Leaders Handbook at dumbleaders.com, where you can read our library of lessons from lousy leaders to help make you a better leader. I'll see you next week.